Well, Andy and Sandra Stanley admit they're not perfect parents, and they also say that they didn't raise perfect kids. Still, over the years of being mom and dad to 3 children, they've learned some important lessons about parenting, and they say it all starts with getting the it right.
After 34 years of marriage and 3 grown kids, Pastor Andy Stanley and his wife Sandra have some keen insights on parenting. They say all moms and dads wonder, are we getting it right?
Then we discovered a better question. What is it? What is the it we are trying to get right, and what is the it we so desperately don't want to get wrong? What is the goal?
In their new book, aptly titled Parenting, the Stanleys explain what it is as they unpack the 4 stages of parenting and teach how to discipline kids in healthy ways that really work.
All right. Well, Andy and Sandra Stanley are joining us now via Skype. Thank you guys so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Ashley.
you for having us.
Of course. All right. Well, Andy, first question goes to you. We just heard you say and ask the question, what is the it we're trying to get right? So what is this it that you're talking about?
Well, in our book, Parenting Getting It Right, we do 2 things. We encourage parents to figure out what is the it they're trying to get right, because every parent's trying to get it right. And then in the book, we unpack what our it is. And we decided the North Star, or the win for us in terms of parenting, was to raise kids who would want to be with us and who would want to be with each other when they no longer had to be. Kids who would want to be with us and with each other when they no longer had to be, and would enjoy being with us and would enjoy being with each other when they were grown adults and no longer had to be, when they were free to choose for themselves. And in this season that we're in, our oldest is 30, our youngest is 28, or 26. We're experiencing that. And so we felt like this was an opportunity for us to share with the rest of the world what we have learned along the way.
That's right.
Well, how have you guys managed to achieve that it? Would you say that you have?
Well, that's a great question. And the short answer is, if you identify it early and you parent toward it and you discipline toward it and you set rules toward it, and that becomes the filter through all of your parenting decisions, you're much more likely to determine it or to get there. And of course, the challenge is, in the whirlwind of parenting, parents oftentimes, because we're all, and we get this, we're so caught up in the circumstances and the crisis and the moment.
The busyness, the calendar.
Yeah, that we don't stop and ask the question, okay, what are we even parenting toward? And if parents don't decide, culture decides for us.
That's so true. Well, Sandra, what are the 4 stages of parenting and the goal in each of those stages?
Yeah. Well, this is not something that we came up with. This is something we were taught and from several different sources. And it really did inform a lot of the decision making that we made as parents. There are 4 stages of parenting. The first one is the 0 to 5 age. That's the discipline years. This is the time where we want them to understand their consequences for their actions. The next stage is about 5 to 12 years old. Those are the training years. This is where we're explaining while we're training. We are just helping, put some wheels on the why behind the what. And then the coaching years are those 12 to 18 years old. That's kind of when everybody gets really nervous about their parenting journey. And this is where we're really focusing more on connecting more than correcting, and allowing our kids to feel some natural consequences of their actions and that sort of thing. And then from 18 on is the friendship years. And that's where you are still doing some coaching. You're still walking with your kids through a whole lot of things, but you are, in that place where you can just sort of begin enjoying them as adults, which is where we are now.
Well, Andy, how can parents get better at communicating with their children? Because I would say that a lot of problems stem from that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the one whole section in the book that I wrote is on communicating with kids, and there's several takeaways, and this is the big one. We are in a relationship with our children, but it is not the same relationship. We're in a relationship with our children, but it's not the same relationship. When parents lose sight of that, especially in the middle school years, they have a tendency to get up out of their parent seat and begin communicating with their children as if they are peers or equals. And that's always a mistake, and it's hard to resist. So we're in a relationship with our kids, but it's a different relationship, which means the weight of our words as parents, we have to factor that in. And that comes naturally when our kids are very little. But once they're, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, For some reason, and we understand this, we live with this tension, parents forget that, and they forget to weigh the importance of their words. So we talk a lot about words, how to, the approach. And then Sandra, one of the things that she talks about is figuring out when to use certain words and when to communicate with our kids.
Right, right. One of the things that we live in this day and age of all kinds of temperament testing and personality testing. We've got lots of tools at our disposal to really be good students of our kids.
Yep.
And we discovered early our kids, same gene pool, very different from each other, and they need to be parented differently. And so there were just certain environments where our oldest son, I knew he would open up and talk in this particular kind of environment and kind of tone. And then our middle son was a little bit different than that. And our daughter certainly different from them. So being students of our kids as it relates to understanding when and how to communicate with them is huge.
Yeah. The environment is so important and timing is so important.
Right.
And because we're so busy as parents, we have a tendency to communicate with our kids on our schedule according to what's best for our time. And again, once our kids are 10 years old and older, that's a miss. So being a student of our kids and learning, trying not to make everything a teachable moment, but discovering when they are most teachable and leaning in to those moments.
Wow, that's so good. Well, Sandra, your husband, Andy, created 2 hard and fast rules in your home. What are those 2 hard and fast rules?
Well, because we're parenting with the relationship in mind, we wanted to have an environment of honor over obedience.
Yep.
When you have an environment of honor, you don't need as many rules. And so that was always our goal. Again, we were not perfect parents, not perfect, didn't have perfect kids. So it wasn't like, oh, the Stanley home is just honorable all the time.
No,
not that. But the 2 rules that we came up with that were really non-negotiables for us. The first one was Andy's idea. It was honor mom. So why don't you tell them just a little bit about why?
Yeah, honor mom, not obey mom. There's a difference between obedience and honor. Honor is broader, and we want to raise our kids to know how to honor other people, because relationships are not facilitated by obedience. Genuine relationships are facilitated by honor. So rule number 1 in our home was honor mom, not honor dad, honor mom. And oftentimes I'm asked, why not honor dad? And here's why. Because in a 2-parent home, if I insist on the kids honoring mom, they will honor me as they watch me honor their mother. So that was rule number 1. Rule number 2 was never tell a lie. Never tell a lie. And the reason we gave for never tell a lie is relational, because lying breaks a relationship. Lying breaks a relationship. And again, as Sandra said, we were parenting. The win for us was a relational win, not a behavior win, not an education win, not a maybe you'll be on Broadway someday or play for the NFL win. Those are the things that kind of get into mix sometimes. It was a relational win. So these were 2 very relational rules. We want you to learn how to honor someone, and we want you to never tell a lie, because lying breaks the relationship.
And at the point of the spear on honor is we have wanted our kids to have to honor their heavenly Father.
Yep.
Number 1, honor your heavenly Father, honor other people from there.
I love that. Honor mom and never tell a lie. All right, guys. Well, the book is called Parenting, Getting It Right, and it's available nationwide. Andy and Sandra, I wish we had more time with you guys, but thank you so much for the wisdom that you've already shared. And thank you so much for this book. I know it's going to help a lot of parents in need. So thank you, and God bless you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley.
Of course.